Welcome into another episode of Red Zone Talk. I am Owen Burke, joined alongside by my dashing co-host Timothy Hunt. Tim, how you doing on this lovely Wednesday? A switch for us.
Yeah, Wednesday recording day is a little different for us, but
Yeah.
no complaints here. Pretty
Now I
good.
don't. I can't use Thursday night football as an excuse for being distracted anymore. Got to be locked in. There's no football going on right now.
Got to be on
Um,
your game.
yeah, episode 17, correct? Is that correct? Is the Google Doc
Yeah,
correct?
17. Yep.
17. We know how to update a Google Doc, folks. Not me. Tim knows how to update a Google Doc. That's the better way to put that. But we got some football to talk about. Another very weird week. I think probably one of the weirder weeks. We'll talk about why once we get
Yeah,
through trivia.
it was a little bit of a strange week. I mean, not super strange, but kind of
Yeah,
a lot to talk about. Um,
definitely.
do make sure to follow us on all social media forms. Red Zone Talk on Instagram, and then Red Zone Talk Pod on TikTok. Finally, that's fixed, and
Official.
Red Zone Talk Pod on YouTube as well. Uh, the YouTube has been doing okay. Honestly, better than I expected it to do. So if you're a loyal YouTuber, we greatly appreciate you just as much as we do the Spotify and Apple Podcast listeners. So
Agreed. Sometimes a little bit more because the fact that you want to stare at my face for that long, I don't know why you put yourself through that, but I appreciate you twice as much. So, all right, you ready to do some trivia, my friend?
let's jump into it. Let's try
Yeah,
it. Let's see.
we're gonna see. This one is gonna be interesting for other reasons. Last time I asked you was because I didn't know how well the topic was going to go over. This one is just kind of it's all over the place. So we'll see. You are currently down 290 to 370. So you need 8 correct answers to tie us up. 9 correct to take the lead.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah. I was like, wait, now you got me questioning. I'm like,
I
let me
know. I
go
was questioning
do
your
my
math
math.
because it's just something about those weird like where you're like 370, huh? Like I don't know if that checks out, but yes, it
Yeah.
does.
All right. So I almost broke my pen. I got something for you. All right. I got to pop up on the screen. Hold on. Get out of here. All right. There have been many royal families in football: the Barbers, the Belichicks, the Carrs, the Diggs, the Grudens, the Harbaughs, the Kelseys, and of course, the Mannings. All right. And I have to trust my numbers on this and hope that I did my research well enough because this is by my count. There's not an official stat sheet on this one, unfortunately.
Okay.
By my count, there has been 8 brother duos that have played together on the same team at the NFL level
Oh,
post merger history. All right. So there's only been 8. So if you can name me 5 of the 8, I'll let you just name 2 families. Doesn't have to be brothers. So play together just any families that I didn't just name. So you can't give me the Kelseys or the Belichicks. You gotta, and I'll read those off once we get there. I'll read you what I read. But
okay.
there are some low hanging fruit for those 2 free questions.
Is
But
there
8 brother
really?
duos.
Okay.
I'll probably give you a little bit of leeway on the hints today because I do think this might be a little bit of a tough question. I think there's some easy ones sitting here, and there's
Same
some
team?
same team, yeah, at the same time, like they were on the roster together. There's an immediate low hanging fruit that should come to your head.
Yeah, there's only
Um,
one, and you're making it sound like there's like three or four. There's only one that comes to my mind.
from what I when I sit down and I think about it, I think 2 slam dunks, and then I'm like pretty confident on the third. And if I sat down and thought about it long enough, I could come to the fourth one. And there are a couple guys that I didn't know. And I do have some fun ones that I didn't know had a family in the NFL either once we wrap it up, also. So I'm
Okay.
thinking probably 4 hits and 4 strikes, probably.
I-
This is going to be a little bit of a tougher one, but I'm
I'm
okay
gonna
with
take
that. I'm gonna,
I'm gonna take Derek Watt and T.J. Watt is the easiest one that comes to my mind.
so
Um,
that is one of the slam dunks. I thought there was going to be an easier one for you, but Derek and TJ did play together in Pittsburgh. Um, so I'm trying
do
to
they
think. I think
have
it
to
was
play a
20 to.
regular season game together?
Yeah, so I only counted if they were on the active roster at the same time together. So like if they were on the practice squad at the same time as his brother was on the NFL roster, I didn't count that. So they were on the active roster. I'll give you a free hint. There are 2 Patriots, 2 of the 8
Duos.
played on the
Oh,
Patriots together.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
might have
mean,
just gave
Jason
two away,
McCourty
but
and Devin McCourty.
that's the one that should come to your head, in
Yeah,
my
that
opinion.
one's obvious. That's sad. It took me that long to think about it. God, the other Patriots duo that I'm thinking of, I don't think he ever played on the active roster. Glenn Gronkowski, Rob's younger brother, played fullback. I don't think he was ever on the active roster. I think he signed with us, was on the practice squad. I don't think he ever took a snap.
So I was looking at this, and because that's what I was like, Glenn and Rob. It's actually not Glenn. There's the third brother actually was on your active regular season roster the same time Gronk was in 2011. You have any
Oh,
idea what his name is?
is it Chris?
This is not Chris. They may have a third brother. Truth, they may have a fourth brother. I mean,
There's four brothers. I know it's Rob, Glenn, and then the other two fucking
and
could be.
Chris, yeah, Chris, not the one I'm thinking of either. It's
Yeah.
the fourth brother that shared time with
Because
Gronk
I want to
on the
say Chris
Patriots.
and Rob played together at Arizona. Maybe that's what
I
I'm
think
thinking of.
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I'm probably still gonna give you this even if you don't get his first name, but I'm gonna take a shot or two in the dark.
Chris Glenn.
Chris Glenn, Rob, and it is
Right.
another 3-letter name.
Oh, perfect.
Toss me a
Not,
3-letter name and I'll just tell you.
it's not gonna be Jim. It's not gonna be Tom. It's not gonna be Tim. This could be.
What if it was Tim? That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be crazy, wouldn't it? I don't think it is though. Joe? Is it Joe Gronkowski? That doesn't sound right.
It's not Joe. It is Dan Gronkowski.
Dan. Okay.
Dan Gronkowski. Yeah, I had to really dig into the bag of the tricks on that one to find out that Dan Gronkowski. It lists him on your guys' roster in 2011.
Okay.
Signed September 6th, played in 2 games, waived September 23rd.
He also played tight end, didn't he?
I believe so. Yes, he did. Also, yes, he did play tight end. Also, not the only duo that played the same position on this list. There's a couple, I believe, a couple of those where they played the same position.
So I have no strikes and 2 right so far.
You got 3 right because you also got
3
the Watt
right.
brothers as well. Yes, so you're rolling a decent clip. I mean, you get 2 more right here, and you're getting your 2 free points for just naming me families.
Yeah.
So
I don't think Shannon ever played with his brother. I don't think the Barbers ever played together because Tiki retired a Giant. Rondé, I think, retired a Buck. I don't think Rondé ever played anywhere else that I can think
yeah,
of.
Rondé played his whole career in Tampa. I didn't know that until I
Tampa.
looked either.
Yeah, I thought he did. I was like maybe his last year he pulled the Dion and just like played in Baltimore or something random like that. But I was like, I
Yeah,
don't
you're
think
like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I think he was pretty loyal to that team. I'm just trying to think of like brothers that are like that. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
said there's brothers that played the same position, which is no Randy Moss's cousin played in the league for a little bit.
and his son did as well, but
Did his son ever play on an active roster? I don't think he did.
he was in Washington for some time, Thaddeus Moss, but I don't remember if he ever suited up for a regular season game or not.
I didn't
Not in
think
the
he
active memory banks for me.
because he played at LSU.
Hmm. I thought he was going to be a stud, just off name value, truthfully. But
Yeah, he got drafted a lot later than I think people thought he was going to. I think he was
yeah,
ended up being like a 6th or 7th rounder. A lot of people thought he was going to be like a 3rd round kind of guy. Um, I think I'm going to have to use a hint here because nobody else is just jumping to my mind.
okay. So, I'm going to jump to probably the position, the guys that played the same position. So you have actually a quarterback brother duo that played on the same roster in the same year. Obviously, one of them didn't start.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he had backed his brother up at the NFL level. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You want to take a stab at that one before I keep going?
Oh, I already know. As soon
Oh,
as
you
you
already know
said
that
that
one?
one, it clicked. It's Jordan Carson Palmer.
Yeah. I had no idea that Jordan backed him up in Cincinnati ever. I thought that was kind of
Jordan
cool.
really only had like 3 stops, and it was mainly the most time he spent was in Cincinnati. He played in Arizona, I want to say, was the other stop he made in his career. I don't remember where the
Maybe.
3rd stop was.
Maybe.
But yes, I did know Jordan. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, Jordan Palmer. Forgot about him.
Yeah, I was like, he has a little bit of fame on TikTok now. Like I was kind of leaning into that as much as I needed to.
And the hardcore football guys will remember Jordan Palmer from the Elite 11 days. I don't know if you've
Ooh,
ever watched the Elite 11, but
I cannot say that I did.
I haven't watched it in a while. Actually, I think the last one I watched was it might have been Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields' class. They take the top 20 high school quarterback recruits and they do a camp together and they
Sick.
eliminate guys down till it's the top 11 and then they rank everybody from 1 to 11
That's kind of
and
sick.
and to be like an elite, like the elite 11 is like filled with guys that were like just studs in college and then NFL guys too. Because Justin Fields was 2 that class and Trevor Lawrence was 1, obviously, being the golden boy. But
Yeah.
Justin Fields committed to Georgia. I don't know if you knew that, but
I remember that. Yeah, I committed to
yeah,
Georgia, transferred to Ohio State. Joe Burrow committed to Ohio State, transferred to LSU. Baker
yeah,
Mayfield was Patrick's backup at Texas Tech. You know, a couple crossed lines from some superstar
yeah.
quarterbacks back in the day. All right,
Okay.
so a couple more here. Not I think is there another? I think that's the last one that they were the same position.
Position.
You have actually two duos where you had a defensive back and a linebacker that were brothers playing on the same team. One of them you'd probably know both. They were recent history. One had a very compelling draft story, and then the other one I'd say he's an all-time name. When you're looking at the name, one of the best names in football, I think, of all time. He's up there. Great player. Didn't know he had a brother. Didn't know he played on the active roster with him at the time. So that
Jeez.
one might be a little tougher to get to, but I can
Okay.
always throw some more hints at him later on. Um, there is a current brother duo, which I actually, when I made this list, I was like 7, easy. And I got to the end and I was like, oh my God, there's an active duo currently that are brothers playing in the NFL.
Okay.
One was a first round pick, very highly just, I think, signed a massive extension with his team. The other one wasn't a high pick from what I remember, but is playing at a very high level. You probably won't, he won't stick out to you in your head. The second
Okay.
guy won't. You'll know the more impactful defensive lineman of the two. There was a high pick about 4 or 5 years back, something like that.
Okay. That's not incredibly helpful.
Nothing at all, isn't it? Yeah. I'm trying
Yeah.
not to give them away. That's the hard part.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna double back on the first of the defensive back linebacker duos. Again, drafted within the last, I'd say about 6 years ago, 2018, 2019, 20, somewhere in that 6 years. That's literally 3 or 4.
4 years ago.
Yeah. I think his brother was drafted a year first, and his brother's a little bit better. He did get a big second contract, kind of disappointed at the NFL level. His younger brother came in the year after him. Very compelling draft story. Not a lot of people thought he was going to get drafted because of a physical
Is it
ailment that he had.
okay? This is who I thought it was. It's oh god, I can't remember
You
his
got
name.
it.
The guy
I
that they
believe in
played
you.
for Seattle.
Yep, they
That's
did.
when you said the cornerback linebacker duo. I was like, oh, this is the because the one guy just got cut again like 3 weeks ago.
You can
Um,
remember him. I know you can.
oh god, I remember their last names. I want to say it's like Quandre and no
No, that's his
Quandre
team. Quandre Diggs. It's his teammate in
Quandre
Seattle.
teammate. Okay, I was like, man, I'm like, I mean, I'm mixing up because Quandre Diggs plays cornerback, right?
He plays safety for them.
Plays safety. Okay.
Yeah, secondary.
Oh
Do you
God,
remember the last name?
I'm trying. I thought it was Diggs. That's who I was stuck on.
I mean, the Diggs are brothers in the NFL. They just don't play on the same
They don't play
roster.
on the same team. His this guy's name starts with a T too.
They actually both start with S.
Oh, they both start with S.
Yes.
Oh,
They, you got
it's
it.
Shaq Griffin and oh God, what's his brother's name? Is
I was like,
Shaq the
that's,
corner? Shaq's the corner, right?
yeah, well, it's a little tricky because they both kind of start with the same 4 letters. They both kind of start with Shaq.
Oh, do they?
One is Shaquem and one is Shaquille.
Shaquille. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
Shaquem and Shaquille Griffin, twin brothers, drafted by the Seahawks,
yeah.
2018, 2019.
Yeah, that one, yeah, yeah, yeah. I do remember that because his brother played at UCF. Is that right?
Yeah, UCF. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure, yeah. I want to say so.
I wanted to say that. That's correct.
Yeah, his brother, the linebacker uh, with one hand, is not currently in the league.
Yeah, He got
but
cut. He was on an active roster not that long ago, right?
yeah. And well, Shaq, I think it may have been Shaq that you're thinking of because
Oh, okay.
he was good in Seattle, signed a big money deal. I think it was with Jacksonville,
Jacksonville,
and
right?
then sucked and got cut. Now he's with the Panthers.
Okay.
I think that's what. And I mean, they've both been cut twice at this point, so
Okay.
could be either or. Um, I don't know if I want to come back to that other one that I didn't know he had a brother. Might be the tough one to get. You are currently at 5, so
5.
you can
Okay.
rattle your free 2 points off.
The problem with this category is so niche that there isn't like
You'll be
oh,
you'd be
huh?
shocked of how long. Like I just looked up families in the NFL. I was like, just give me the Wikipedia page, pull everybody up. This is
Oh,
an extremely long list. I did not
ton,
know it was going to be that long. Yeah,
tons, like an insane amount. Um,
and name me some famous families, and I'll tell you if they qualify. Because if I read them in the intro, they're not qualifying. So,
yeah, like I know the Mosses, like Santana Moss,
yep.
Randy Moss, they qualify.
I didn't know Santana was his cousin. Didn't know
Santana
that.
was his
That was
cousin,
new.
yeah,
New for
because
me.
Santana's brother went to Syracuse. I want to say something like that.
Hmm.
I don't think Santana Moss went to Syracuse, but I think Santana's brother or something like that. We definitely had a Moss that went to Syracuse.
That's sick. I did not know that.
Just random thought.
That's so sick.
I know the Mosses. I know the
Mosses will count that.
McCaffreys. I know
Oh,
the
yeah, you're right.
Slaters. Ed McCaffrey played wide receiver for Denver.
Yeah, you're right. They actually have 3 sons apparently that played football.
Yeah. The Slaters, you got Matthew Slater, and then you got his dad. I want to say his dad's like Rob Slater, something like that, because his dad was an offensive lineman for the Rams.
Yep, Jackie Slater.
Jackie, that's what it is. I knew it was something like that.
Well, I'll count those both then.
Yeah, I could probably name some weird ones like that. You're like,
yeah, you could probably name a couple that I didn't know were up here. Like, because that, like I said, there was plenty that I was like, I had no idea that they had family at the NFL level, and also I did put some cool ones at the end, and I was like, that's really interesting. I did not know that they had
like
family.
Joey Porter Sr. Obviously,
yeah,
that's another easy one.
Did you know that Brian Westbrook had a brother named Byron? That's not confusing at all.
I didn't know that.
Byron. Brian and Byron.
Huh.
Apparently, Byron played at the NFL level.
That's interesting. Look. Did you list the Harbaughs in your?
I did list the Harbaughs in the intro. Yeah.
Like, because not only are they coaches, they both, I believe, played in the NFL.
Right? I found a weird one. Like TJ Ward is cousins with somebody that I didn't know too. Like,
there's like a lot of weird like.
I have my favorite one. I definitely found like a favorite one that stuck out to me when I did this, and they're at the end of my list as well. So
there's some weird. There's a weird cousin. I'm trying to think like.
There's 2 weird cousins that I found. One active and one not.
There's somebody who's cousins who are they're both like good players. Like I remember, like I'm distinctly remembering this, and you might say it, but you were like, oh, those guys are cousins, and you're like, yeah, and they're like actually pretty good.
Well, you've got your 2 free family members, so we're back to the brothers. But the good news is you're currently at 7, so you need 1 more to tie us up, 3 to take the lead. Still technically no strikes.
On this active guy, you said there's one active guy. You said he didn't know his brother was in the league.
No. The active duo together, I didn't know that they were related. When I was saying the active guy, I don't feel like I remember saying that, but it's the all-time name that I didn't know he had a brother that played with him. And actually, they both have all-time names. Like when you're thinking like that's a great name. Like they both have all-time names.
If you gave me the name, would it be too obvious? Do you think?
Yeah, if I gave you his first, there's only one first name of this guy in NFL history. Not a single guy, first or since.
What about his brother?
His brother's name is Boss. So. So, I mean, it kind of is a hint if you can really take yourself, like, you think of the parents that name their kid Boss, and I want you to think, all right, if I name my kid Boss, what would his older brother's name be, right? Like, it's not directly related to Boss. Don't get caught on the word itself. I want you to think of...
like that styling.
Yeah, you're like, Boss? I almost said his last name.
I don't know if this is...
And also, Boss, not his brother, but Boss... His first and last name are an alliteration, so his last name does start with a B. I'll give you that as well.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't
So you
know if that
got
helps.
you got Boss B and his brother, something B.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
All time name, played through the mid 2000s, retired probably early 2010s, I'd say.
I don't know why. Okay.
Played corner. The very good brother played corner.
Very good brother played corner, huh?
I want to say two teams off the top of my head. You'll remember him for two teams. He may have had a third stop. Well, you'll technically probably remember him for one, but most people remember he did play two. Yeah, he played on a practice squad his last year, but uh, I feel like if I give you the teams, it might be
Too
free.
obvious. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
he's drafted in '99, pick 7 of the draft.
how many hints do I have left at this point? I don't even
I
know.
don't know. I'm just kind of playing it nerd sesh style, where I'm just trying to get you through the list at this point.
I don't know if that one's like. I don't know if I'm gonna.
You might come back to that one. All right.
Yeah, I don't know if that one's gonna stick. That one's
Well,
just
the only issue is we've only got 3 options left. So, um, again, those two guys stick out in my head, but I just remember being a fan. There was an offensive line brother duo that played together. One was pretty good through his whole career. The other one was a pretty marginal, like a 78 kind of guy in Madden, like decent, not good, not great.
Could you give me the team of that one or no?
Yeah, they played in Carolina together.
Oh, that's not
Probably
gonna,
doesn't ring a ton of bells,
Nope.
I would assume.
That's not gonna help.
They shared time from 17 to 18 in Carolina. The better brother played his whole career there.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's
Might not ring a bell at all.
Yeah, that name's never gonna come to me.
I really wish you could get the first guy. I wish you could get that all-time corner name. That'd be so sick if you could pull it out.
I'm just trying to think of an all-time corner with like a cool name and like nothing has coming there.
I'm trying to think of how else I could get you there.
Starts with a B. Like
his last name starts with a B. First name does not.
I get that. Like it's not helping any. Like I don't know if this guy's just not, maybe he's an all-time to you and just not to me or something, but
I would say he's probably top 15, top 10 in his position.
Okay,
I'd say.
I'm like thinking I'm really wrapped in like the top 5, 10 guys, and I'm like,
nah, he's one of those fringe guys that you're like, could be 10, could be 15. You could see him at 19, truthfully. Like, I mean, well, I don't know. I don't know where you'd put him, truthfully. Like, I mean, I consider him as, and when you're looking at the 2010s, he might be one of the best corners. He probably is. I mean,
Darrelle Revis, man,
not Darrelle Revis, not Darrelle Revis.
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
put him in the. I just had a name come to my head that I was like, put him in that category.
It's not Rondé Barber. It's not.
It's kind of putting him in that category of Rondé Barber.
In early 2000s.
Good.
Cromartie, I don't know.
He played.
Samuel is probably on this. Cleve Talib. No, he's not good enough.
He was was he teammates with Cleve Talib?
Oh, you know what? I think I might know who it is. It might have just came to me.
Please.
Is it Champ Bailey and Boss Bailey?
It is Champ and Boss Bailey. Yes. For the tie. That's a great pickup. I love that. These last two are going to be tough, so I'm glad you were able to tie it up with Champ and Boss Bailey. Didn't know he had a brother that played at the NFL level. That was news to me.
Never known that in a million years. No,
news to me. New. All right, I'm going to try to pivot to these active guys. I'll give you a couple. I'll give you a swing or two at it. We'll see. Again, the notable brother that you would know, defensive lineman, just signed a big money extension, I think, last offseason. Drafted 4 or 5 years ago. He's a first-round pick out of Alabama. Defensive lineman out of Alabama. Thanks for narrowing it down, Owen. I appreciate that. His brother, again, I don't feel like hints on his brother.
Is it Quentin Williams and his brother?
It's Quinnen Williams, but yes, Quinnen and Quincy Williams on the Jets.
Yeah, okay. I guess I never pieced that together that they were brothers. But
I didn't piece it together. I literally, I had the whole thing written out, and I was like, name me 7, give you 3 free points, and I scrolled to the end of the Wikipedia page, and I was like, wait a second, those two guys are in the league right now. So
I didn't know they were brothers.
I did not know that either. So there it is.
Start listening to the Jets games, like a boring game like that. I typically just mute the broadcast.
That's fair.
And they probably have said it like all the Jets fans are like, man, they've said that 35 times.
Yeah, they're probably doing drinking games with it at this point.
Who was the other brother duo?
The other brother duo that played, Matt and Ryan Khalil, played in.
Khalil. Okay.
Does that
Matt,
ring a bell to you?
Matt, yeah, the Khalil. I was like, was one of them a center?
Yeah, Matt Khalil was the center
Matt
that played
Khalil's
his
a
whole career
center,
in
right?
Carolina. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Once you said that, I was like, man, there's gonna be a guy that like he says, and I'm like, I'm gonna know him, but I'm like not
yeah,
gonna know his name ever. You know what I mean? Like,
fair. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought it was an interesting list. Like I thought, a little bit of a looser version of trivia, but I'm okay with that. I thought that was kind of cool to run through some. So, just as a quick little bonus to wrap her up, players that I didn't know had family in the league. I did not know that David Bakhtiari had a brother that played in the NFL. Eric Bakhtiari, didn't know that. Thought that was kind of cool. Eric Berry, his brother Evan played at the NFL level. Brent Selleck. There's also a Garrett Selleck that played for the Niners, played tight end for him for a year or two. Randall Cunningham has his brother Sam, Cam Newton, and his brother Cecil Newton played at the NFL level as
I
well.
didn't know his brother. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
didn't know Cam had a brother, didn't know he played at the NFL level. Here's the two fun ones. Matt Ryan and Mike McGlinchey are cousins. Thought that was cool. Didn't know that. Like two pretty prominent NFL players, both cousins. And then the Kingpin. This is the weird one. This is the one that I loved when I found it. Josh Johnson, veteran journeyman NFL quarterback, Marshawn Lynch, and of all names, Jamarcus Russell are all cousins. All three of them related.
Really?
Yeah. Who would have thought? Jamarcus Russell, Josh Johnson, and that family coming out of college. Who's going to have a better NFL career? It's going to be Josh fucking Johnson. He's going to stick around for some years. That's got to be a fun family reunion, I tell you what. You can imagine a guy that played for 9 NFL teams and knowing what they knew then, Jamarcus Russell, and you're like, Josh is gonna have a better career than you are. Like crazy stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who these cousins are that are cornerbacks. Like they don't share the same last name.
About to dig through the cousins here. Here's another one that was weird. Maurice Jones-Drew and TJ Ward were cousins. That was the one I thought of earlier that I couldn't think of.
Rice Moss was the kid, the
Rice
kid's
Moss.
name. I was like, man, it's gonna drive me nuts. Couldn't remember it.
Darius Slay and Tracy Walker. Would that be it?
No,
No?
it was better. It was better than that.
Brandon and Tikio Spikes are cousins. That one's pretty simple.
Yeah. Somebody crazy.
Sendejas. Not a single one of these guys has pictures. That's not a good sign for your family. You have Kellen Winslow the second. Hi. Ted Washington. Didn't know.
Interesting.
Brian Urlacher's brother played at the NFL level and is apparently now an American politician. How about that? He's a mayor in Illinois.
Yeah, Antonio Cromartie was cousins with no, that's not who I thought it was. Just kidding.
He was cousins with somebody though, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's like Cromartie's and Marcus Cromartie are of like Montreal Alcalbez of Canada. Like not who I thought it was.
I thought he had a cousin in the NFL level that he played with, like across from. And they were both like Pro Bowlers or something.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
I think we might both be having the same incorrect memory currently.
Yeah, like I don't know why. I'm like, I swear he was cousins with somebody.
Isaiah Rodgers, he's in the NFL now. Apparently he's cousins with him.
Yeah, I knew there was like a bunch of weird crossovers there. All right, that was a fun trivia. Hard as hell, but it was still fun.
Difficult, but a fun one. I thought it was fun. I'm okay with having some fun here and there. So
fun, but yeah,
weird. 9 for you. Gets you the lead. Get you a 10-point lead going into next week. You updating that right now?
Taking it, yeah. Doing it.
Hell,
now.
Yeah. It was a fun bit of trivia. I wonder how long Matty C was screaming Matt and Ryan Khalil in his truck on the way home from work, because I'm sure there's somebody out there screaming the Khalil brothers. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever would have gotten that. I knew. Isn't it weird how I knew the Gronkowski ones? Like I mean I knew he had all three of his.
Yeah, you knew all three, of course. The one that played at the NFL level with him,
I
apparently.
didn't even give my favorite family a shout out, the Jones family.
The
Uh,
Jones family.
yeah, Chandler Jones.
Mm,
Obviously, is not the best lately, but
yeah.
his brother Arthur Jones played for the Colts for a long time,
I remember that.
and then his other brother John Jones is a famous UFC fighter.
Is arguably one of the greatest fighters of all
All
time.
time,
Yeah.
yeah. They're all from Utica, New York,
Sick.
like 20 minutes north of Syracuse.
I
So,
cannot imagine living within a half an hour of John Jones. That terrifies me.
so,
Just in the general vicinity.
and Chandler and his brother both went to Syracuse. There you go.
Chandler and Arthur did.
Both Syracuse
Why did
alums.
John Jones go to Syracuse? What's going on here?
It turns out UFC fighters typically don't go
Don't
to
need
college.
don't need college degrees for that. Okay, all right.
Typically don't go to college for anything. Turns out that's not a common path.
Oh shit, that's funny. Don't need to go to college for that one. Well, that's what it is. They couldn't have talked him into it. Hey, just come play for a year. I'll fucking come
I
over
think
here.
he's probably the most famous recent alum. I mean, actually, probably not anymore. Tommy DeVito is probably the most famous Syracuse alum. So
He went to Syracuse.
yeah, he went to 4 years at Syracuse. Yep.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Hey, speaking of Tommy DeVito, I wanted to show some love, give a second of respect because Tommy DeVito I don't think has had many negative headlines around. I think most people have enjoyed the show so far from that side of New York. The other side has not had its fair share of fun as of late, and that being the Jets side of things. But your AFC and NFC Offensive Players of the Week this week were none other than the Mafia's Messiah, Tommy DeVito, and your mom's new boyfriend, Zach Wilson. So congrats to both. How about New York football running the table on Offensive Player of the Week awards? Was not on my bingo card for the 2023 season. Not a single one did I think a kid named Tommy DeVito would ever win it. I think if you asked me at the beginning of the year, hey, week one, who do you think is more likely to win a Player of the Week award? Tommy DeVito or Zach Wilson? I'd be like, I don't know who Tommy DeVito is, but I might have to put my money on him. I don't know how much faith I have in Zach Wilson at this point. And I guess at the beginning of the year, Zach Wilson would have been a backup. Probably a safe bet at that point. I don't know who Tommy DeVito is, but he's fucking got to win something, I guess. So
It's funny. I was talking to my buddy who's a Giants fan, both of them, and we were talking about it because the New York Giants, for some reason, just love random Syracuse quarterbacks. Um, like Tommy DeVito played 4 years at Syracuse, was a redshirt his freshman year, didn't play at all. His sophomore year, he actually had a decent season. His third year, he had a season-ending injury, so he played I think 4 games or something like that. Didn't finish out. His fifth year, he starts off horrible. He gets replaced by Garrett Schroeder, who was the starter for.
was that the guy that did the backflip that went viral on Twitter
Yep,
for a while?
yep, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I was
so I
like, this
thought.
was his last year, so he got replaced by that guy, and then because DeVito played at Illinois last year,
Are you
and then
transfer? That's what I thought. Okay.
before that though, Ryan Nassib was like the Giants' backup quarterback
Ryan Nassib.
for
What a
like
name.
years, and like they get these guys who it's like Nassib wasn't even good at Syracuse, but I want to say he was the Giants' backup for a hot minute.
Yeah, I mean, that's guys have made careers of being backups at the NFL level despite being
Yeah,
bad at playing
he's
quarterback.
Giants' backup from 2013 to 2016.
Yeah, I mean, like, there are some guys that, the starter goes down and they check in, and within 3 plays, I'm like, how are you on an active roster, sir?
I don't
Like,
know. Maybe Nassib had a better season than I'm giving him credit for. Like
at
he wasn't
Syracuse or
as
in
bad.
the
Yeah, at
league?
Syracuse.
Okay.
Oh, in the NFL, I don't know if he played in 5 total games for the Giants, going 9 for 10, 128 yards and 1 touchdown his entire career. So
Hey, man, small sample size, but that's pretty damn good
how
for
come he's not a starter? What's going on here?
9 for 10, 200 yards and a touchdown, no picks. Come on. The no picks
God,
part should have sold him as a starter right out the gate.
I don't know if he
But
ever played on an active roster after that because he signed with the Saints, got cut, and then played for the Jaguars. It looks like.
my last question about the Giants, because I'm curious, before I jump into our next topic, do you think, was it on the table? And if so, did Tommy DeVito save Brian Dable from being fired this offseason?
I think it's a really interesting conversation, right? Like I know there was talks that they were going to fire him. I think it would have been a bad decision for the Giants to do it because
I think that's the easiest.
of
Yeah.
how quickly they've cycled through guys. I don't remember the two guys before Joe Judge. There was two of them pretty quick though.
Oh, Ben McAdoo.
Yeah, Ben McAdoo was one because he was the guy who benched Eli for Geno Smith.
I'm gonna have to Google it because I said Ben McAdoo. Now I can't think of any Giants coach minus his slicked back
But
hair. Fucking god, that
yeah,
fucking god. Oh god, do you remember when we thought fucking NFL coaches were bad? Pat Shermer and Steve Spagnuolo as well.
yeah,
Those are the three guys that filled in between Coughlin and Dable. Well,
and Dable, and
Dable
then
or Judge.
the Judge. Yeah,
Yeah, between
just like
McAdoo and Judge.
the pattern of because Judge was there 2 years, 3 years, 2 years. Would you say
Judge was there for 2 years, 10
2
and
years?
23.
Yeah, so like you have a 1 year stint, a 2 year stint, another 2 year stint, and then if you let Dayball go after this would be his what second season there? Is
Second
that right?
season, yep.
Second season after making the playoffs this year. I know the season's been bad, but they didn't really fix any of their issues this
No,
offseason, right? They didn't go out and get a wide receiver. They added some pieces on defense. I mean, they added Evan Neal, right? They added Thibodeau, right? They're drafting and developing players slowly, but they didn't go out and sign any proven guys,
yeah,
right? Like
and
you
they
have
didn't. Yeah, they
eight
didn't hit
people.
on an impact rookie.
Yeah, exactly. So it has been. I think Thibodeau's good. Like I just think he is one of those guys that he's going to need like maybe another year to kind of see what his full potential actually is.
I agree.
Um, but yeah, you look at that and it's just it would be insane to fire him after one bad season, right? Especially with Daniel Jones going down. What did he go down? Week 6, 7, something like that.
7 or 8, I think.
Seven
Yeah,
or eight, yeah, middle of the season, right? To me, it would have been a mistake to let go of a really good coach because we always talk about, right? Like, would that guy go get another job? I
immediately.
think absolutely. Like, but I think Brian Daboll would be a top candidate because you look at Josh Allen has gotten worse,
Mm-hmm.
arguably worse since he's left. Right? He looked okay last year. This year, it's been so up or down, and Dayball was able to kind of fix the up and downs and level him out a little bit. And then
And
you
keep him
look,
to like up and middle instead of up and down. It's been like it was like up and middle of the road. Like that, it never really dipped super
dipped,
hard on him.
and then he had one season with Daniel Jones, and nobody thought Daniel Jones was anything. And
No
he got
second
him
contract,
and he got him signed to a second contract, and that team made the playoffs. So,
and they won a playoff game.
and they won a playoff
Yeah,
game.
100%.
So to me, it would have been surely it was maybe a possibility. I think it ultimately would have been a major mistake if they acted
100%.
on it. Um, is kind of the light that I view that from. Maybe he saved his job, but I just can't imagine they actually would have done it. You know?
Yeah, and I think that was the thing. Like, I was like, any intelligent football fan is sitting here like, why would you ever fucking fire Brian Dable? Like, in this situation, there should have been a 0% chance Brian Dable's job should have been touched. Never, never, ever. With Daniel Jones, without Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, I don't care if the ghost of Phil Simms is playing quarterback. Like, Dable's job was safe for year two. It should have been no question, but I think people started to bring it to light just because they didn't improve again. And I was like,
Yeah.
what did they? This is Daniel Jones, man. He did great year one. I think he was able to provide a lot of things on tape that maybe people hadn't seen, was able to just kind of work it, and just make it work, and it didn't work year two. I mean, those things happen. But I think there are some NFL teams that would have seen Dable hit the market and been like, maybe we should fire our coach, go get him.
Yeah.
Like I think the Chargers, again, we talked about Staley gone. Not going to talk about him a ton. But like the Chargers probably have their replacement in house with Kellen Moore, right? Dable's available. Sorry, Kellen Moore. We're gonna have to do an interview here. Like there's a due diligence when this good of a guy comes available, and we're gonna have to go interview him at least.
I think there's an underappreciation for what some of these offensive guys can do, right? Like I think like if they had fired Daniel Jones or not Daniel Jones, Brian Daboll after one season, it would be very similar to what happened to Matt Nagy, right? Where Matt Nagy took Mitchell Trubisky to the playoffs twice, right? Like, regardless of like it ended horribly, right? That's why he had to be fired. I'm kind of surprised he hasn't gotten another shot, honestly. Because he's a good offensive coach, right? These
Yeah.
offensive coaches are only going to go up and up and up and up in demand. Um, Defensive coaches as head coaches are going to be few and far between because we've talked about it, right? Like if you hire a defensive coach to be your head coach and you have a great offensive coordinator, you'll lose that offensive coordinator, right?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
we've seen it happen over and over and over
Every
again.
time. It's going to happen every time.
And then on the flip side of that, we've seen these defensive coaches struggle with young quarterbacks, right? We've seen, we can look at New England, right? Bill Belichick hasn't done great with Mac Jones without Josh McDaniels there.
Yep.
I'm not saying Josh McDaniels is a great head coach. He's a great offensive coach, no matter what you think of him as a head coach, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Sean McDermott cannot figure out how to get a running back into Buffalo, right? Like they have thrown so many stones at that and they cannot figure it out.
They just can't figure out how to run the ball. I feel like they've had
Right.
some talent at the back position, but they cannot produce. That is, whether you think it's talent, whether you think it's scheme, whether you think it's blocking, the bottom line is Buffalo cannot have a rushing attack unless it's Josh Allen, apparently.
And then you look at the Chargers, right? Like Brandon Staley has just wasted Justin Herbert throwing 5,000, you know what I mean? Having a 5,000, 4,000 yard season. This year, obviously, he's not going to hit those marks with them shutting him down the rest of the season. But you look at the defensive head coaches in this league, and it's just a struggle. It just truly is a big old disaster, right? Like, I'm trying to think of who's another. Ron Rivera with Sam Howell, right? Sam Howell is having a really good year by most people's standards. Washington cannot get it together. I mean, Robert Saleh has had yet again another disappointing season, and he's gotten lucky. He has an opt out, right? His defenses are next level and amazing, but he just has no ability to generate offense, right?
Yeah.
Even Bravel, right? Like things got old. You lose AJ Brown, you lose, Derrick Henry gets a year older, Ryan Tannehill gets a year older, and that team has just struggled, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I don't want to give a ton of credit to Arthur Smith because I'm not ready to put Arthur Smith in that like elite offensive mind category. But I mean, it's made a difference, right? Like it's been hard for them to
Yeah.
replace it. Even if we talk about Philly right now, right? Like their struggle, like I can't remember if Nick Sirianni's a defensive guy. I want to say he is, isn't he?
I can't remember for the life of me out there. What's funny is that I just pulled an article up with his name on it. See if it says it. I was literally just looking because you said that.
I want to
Of
say he
course,
was an offensive guy. Yeah, he's an offensive guy.
yeah.
Wide receiver,
You talked
quarterbacks.
about Staley wasting Herbert. Anthony Lynn wasted Herbert before Staley got there. And I was
Yeah.
curious. I was like, who else got hired around Staley? This article ranks all 7 of the new head coaches when Staley got hired. By the way, he was ranked number 1. Urban Meyer. Listen, I want you to listen to this list of head coaches when you think about what could have been for the Chargers. Just for a second, I apologize because I found this and I think it's interesting. So they hired Staley. He was listed as one of the most exciting, hires. Urban Meyer was 2. Let's not talk about it, right? Black spot on the list. Nick Sirianni, Dan Campbell, Arthur Smith, Robert Salah, and David Culley was 7. So when you think of where Staley,
Where was David Culley?
David Culley was, remember, he was one of the 1 year hires for Houston. Remember, they 1 year hired him, fired, 1 year hired Lovie Smith.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So if you black out Urban Meyer and you take David Culley's 1 year, I think he was a scapegoat. Like they looked
It was a mess.
This is the 2021 offseason. We're 2 years removed from Lamar's MVP season after the 2020 year. And the Texans are like, we need a head coach. Ravens passing game coordinator. That's the guy. Real high tier, a lot of say in the room. I never believed it for a second. Let's look at the rest. Saleh, Arthur Smith, Dan Campbell, Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
Those are some pretty solid coaches. Say what you want about Saleh, he's probably going to have the same issues. But, like, you can imagine if Arthur Smith, Dan Campbell, or Nick Sirianni was in LA with Justin Herbert right now. Like, we're having a different conversation.
Even Dan Campbell's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
I think
true.
we're both on the same page of, like, Ben Johnson's leaving, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's getting a job this year.
No doubt.
I'd be shocked if he doesn't.
Shocked is an understatement, truthfully. Like,
yeah. So you take Ben Johnson away. What's Dan Campbell look like, right?
I have no idea. I would love to know.
because the only slack that I'll give to Sirianni is not only did he lose his OC, he lost his DC, right? Like he lost Gannon and he lost Shane Steichen. So
Psyching you.
to lose both of them in one season is just it's hard for any coach to go back and replace both of them, let
Yeah.
alone one. So
Very much so agreed.
and they're not having that bad of a season. I know
That-
everyone's like
they're still
sky
10-2.
is falling. Like, yeah, it's like no, they're 10-3 now, aren't
They're
they?
9-3. I think it's 9-3.
9-3, right.
Yeah.
Everyone's acting like the sky is like it's just like San Francisco like a month ago, right?
Yeah,
San
I was saying.
Francisco loses 3 in a row, and everyone's like, it's over. I mean, I wanted Brock Purdy.
Yeah, they dropped to 5-3. They're like, put Darnold in. Get this guy out of here.
Yeah, that for me, that was just because I wanted my prediction to be right and
Fair.
Sam Darnold to play a little bit, because I think he'd be a stud in that offense. But yeah, like it's the same thing where everyone's like, it's over, right? Like you want wrap it up, right? The Eagles could go on a win streak here, and then all of a sudden they're back. So
They don't even need a win streak to be back. Like, I mean, they could split their last games and possibly still win the division if Dallas fumbles it down the stretch.
They're 10-3 right now is what they are. So yeah, but
yeah, man.
Yeah, it's a little quick to react, but yeah, he lost both his coordinators. Like if you look at it from that standpoint, you said, "Hey, Nick Sirianni's going to lose both his coordinators." You're going to be like, "Oh, they're going to struggle."
As going into his third year, they're like, "Bye, have fun." Like, that's tough. It is a tough thing to rebound from. And honestly, I've not given it a single bit of thought until you just said it now. And I don't think anybody else has said it either. That's a damn good point, my friend.
Yeah. And you can't say that neither one of those guys are impact guys because I mean the Colts are fighting for it. I mean the Cardinals have looked so, but
it's it was Josh Dobbs and it was Kyler and it was
same
thing for Steichen. I mean Anthony Richardson
looked good, and then
Gardner really Minshew, good.
Yeah, and then Gardner Minshew's keeping him alive for a playoff. Like he could make the playoffs the first year as his coach and his rookie quarterback. Went out after week 5. You know what I mean?
And the best backup in the league takes him to the playoffs. Just kidding. The best backup in the league currently starts for Cleveland. So I literally made that meme and it was like the guy that's like shot, like happy, and then he's like upset. And it was like the Browns winning a game and getting closer to the playoffs, and then Browns fans realizing they have to admit that Joe Flacco's elite. And I was like,
Joe Flacco's elite.
I had Bryce send it to one of his buddies because he lives up in that area in Ohio. He was like, fine. He's like, I'll admit it. He's like, Joe Flacco's elite. And I was like, yes, the Browns fan said it. Stop. Put it. I'm going to write it in cement outside my house.
Never all pro.
Never a Pro Bowler.
Never
I don't think he did.
Bowler. Yeah. It's crazy.
Which is insane that Tyler Huntley has a Pro Bowl and Joe Flacco does not.
Mac Jones and Tyler Huntley, Pro Bowlers.
In the same year.
Yeah, no. That's because everyone was saying no. But
kill me. Well, I mean, Joe played his best football after the Pro Bowl, when the Pro Bowl was the week before the game he was actually about to play in New Orleans. So,
this is like, it's so interesting. Like, I'm not saying they're the exact same, but they're so damn similar. It's like being like, Nick Foles was never a Pro Bowler. What the hell? Like, it's like when you have one really good playoff run, it doesn't all of a sudden make you a great quarterback.
Yeah, it doesn't affect that market. And Baltimore paid for it, right? We paid him like an elite guy. I'll never forget 6 years, $212 million. Those numbers are burned into my head because we suffered. Yeah, we suffered for a while.
Been a $300 million contract now. So
yeah, I can't even imagine. And we had to let everybody walk. Torrey Smith walked. The team fell apart. Yeah. Is what it is. But
all right,
there it is.
That'll probably do it for part 1. If you enjoyed this, make sure you check out episode 2. Comes out. It should be out. They're out at the same time. I think I literally schedule them to post 1 minute apart. So
I love that.
If you're watching this, the other one's probably out at this point. So go give that a check, and we'll see you guys in the next part.